Yo, love, peace, love, and law, everybody. How y'all doing out there? Welcome to In God We Trust Academy podcast tonight. Hope everybody having a good night for sure. Know y'all pot belly full, right? All that good stuff y'all done ate. Hopefully you're able to check that down now. It's definitely was a lot of food at play, man, this week. I know for me, I had to lay back off of it. But welcome, family. Welcome, like always, man. Where you guys tuning in from? What's going on, brother? Peace, God. What's going on with y'all? I know it's a little late for some of y'all, man, but we up. We got something for y'all tonight. And don't forget about our free class tomorrow, man. So, you know, the class, work sessions, free classes. Pretty much about to get one tonight, too. But drop some ones, man. Let me know where y'all tuning in from. Peace. Yeah, North Cali, Colorado, man. I gotta come with y'all. I gotta get rid of that snow. Arkansas, okay. Amber Garrett in the house with us and from Arkansas. That's what's up. Appreciate y'all locking in. Stay tuned in though. Don't go nowhere. It's about to get real tonight. That's why you left the East. Man, that cold, man. And it still get crazy here in Alabama, but yes, sir. St. Louis. Nothing wrong with there. What's going on? Good 16. How y'all doing out there? Man, what was your favorite dish on the table? And I'm a dressing fan. That's always gonna be one of the go-tos for me. It was great though. Getting knowledge from me, that's what's up. I appreciate it. I got something for you. Gumbo. I know that's real. Gumbo good too. Real talk. Fire. Yeah, man. I hope you guys got to catch the sale. If you didn't know, In God We Trust Academy.com. We having a sale right now. So half off and 25% off. Anything 150 and up, half off. Anything under 150 and down is 25% off. So that is still going on right now. Okay, so that's in God We Trust Academy.com if you're interested in that. Don't forget about, a lot of you guys have met me through seeing me do on my reel or whatever. I think we've probably gained about 20,000 followers between TikTok and new followers between TikTok and on the Facebook and stuff like that. So I haven't even looked on YouTube, but still appreciate everybody. And if you have followed me through that, then the best thing for you to do is this sale here that's still going on for you. I ain't even took it off yet. It's the birth certificate bundle. It's Remedy and Rebellion and the Divine Trust pop-up class. Those two classes alone is going to come with everything that you need to know exactly what I did with the birth certificate. I'm not saying any way that anybody else is doing. I said what I done. So, and it's $125 for both. And literally both classes is worth way more. But I'm just trying to make sure that you get that and come to our free classes and stuff like that Mondays and Wednesdays. And you can be able to ask further questions from there too, especially since we on that particular subject. So do go and do that. Also, December the 13th, we got the Lawful Money Master Class coming up. It's going to be in Huntsville Country Club here in Huntsville, Alabama, 10 a.m. Central Time. And what you're going to learn is the constitutional and statutory foundation of lawful money versus legal tender, and how to lawfully endorse checks, deposits as well, how to document your election with clear record keeping and affidavits as well. So it's going to be a lot that you're going to learn here. I'm going to cover a lot of it for you tonight, just for you to gain the understanding of what to expect when you come into that class. We're actually going to talk about it. And then I'm going to let you hear some testimonies from those people who have taken my classes from the time that we did in LA and further, to see that, well, it's a real thing. You just have to really apply yourself and know the knowledge and actually how to move with what you're actually doing. Sometimes it takes for you to have a little pushback and get to the right person to speak to make sure things go the right way fluently. But hey, it's part of it, man. You got to do your due diligence in the system here for sure, because the system is created in every way. And the system and the law is two different things. The system is created in every way to take every right that you could possibly think of from you. But the law itself is there to protect every right. So you have to understand that, right? So that's what you could do, guys. Also, it's a ebook that's coming along with this as well. It's about equitable conversion. So if you want to know more about that, you're more than welcome to do so. Also, I'm still setting up trust. It's half off as of right now till December the 1st. So it's going to be $600. It's usually $12, but it's $6 right now. And you still have that opportunity to do so. So get in touch with me if so. All right. We also got a chance for you to win a free card. So inbox me for that, and I'll tell you exactly what to do. For those of you on TikTok, for sure. I know how they get when I start talking about stuff like that. But anyway, man, let's jump into it. Maryland in the building. What's up, Maryland? Maryland in the building. Oh, great state of Maryland. All right. So let's get into this. Let's get into this now. I think that the more we get into this, the better it's going to be for you guys. So when it comes to lawful money and the foundations of lawful money, yeah, it's through a nonprofit for sure. Yeah. So it's the foundation of lawful money. And lawful money is a specific term, guys, in the United States law that we're going to be speaking on. But before we move forward, give thanks to God Almighty. All right. How much will it be to set up my trust? Right now it's 600. I already have an EIN, great. But it's 600 right now. And it's going to be exactly what you want it to be. So just inbox me. Best time is to get it now between now and December the 1st, or make some type of contact so you can lock that in. All right, but here we go. Everything that you hear is for educational religious purposes only, family. So do listen and listen very. And then you're going to see what this class is going to be about for you guys. So lawful money is a specific term in the United States law that refers to money recognized by the Constitution and statutes as having intrinsic or guaranteed value by the sovereign government. Under strict legal definitions, lawful money consists of gold coins, silver coins, United States notes. Also, at one point of time, was known as greenbacks. Treasury issued currency backed by the credit and authority of the United States government, not by a private corporation like the actual Federal Reserve. The authority for lawful money is explicitly found in U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5, where it says basically Congress shall have the power to coin money, to regulate the value of foreign coin, and fix the standard weights and measures. So under the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1, it literally prohibited the states from creating their own private currency, like they can't print their own money. So they couldn't make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, okay? So under the original constitutional framework, lawful money consisted only of gold and silver coin minted and regulated by the U.S. government, and this lawful system maintained economic honesty and prevented inflation caused by worthless paper. So lawful money is not based on debt. Lawful money cannot be created through loans or fractional reserve banking, which is what they do not like. Lawful money carries no inherent tax event simply by existing or being exchanged because it is not a private contract instrument. But not only even just that, guys, should you be taxed just for your mere existence of who and what you are? And as we begin to talk about this more tonight, I'm going to speak on things such as taxation as well. But when it comes to me speaking on things, when it comes to like taxation, you got to understand it's voluntary. And you volunteer on how it's filed, etc. So, and here's the thing, the duty is never for you to pay a tax. It was always for you to report a tax. So you can report these things. But if everything is placed in the right perspective, in the right places where things are what you would consider to be non-taxable events, and they were not able to be taxed, then you wouldn't have to worry about taxation. But majority of the people do everything out of in the realm of commerce, where you're going to be taxed, especially if you're going to continue to use the straw man alone, which is, for those new watchers, your Social Security. If you do everything in your name alone, you're going to hold all liability, all taxations, every bit, because every single thing is going to be considered a gain or profit for you. So do understand that, which is income. All right. So understanding the legal tender and lawful money distinction here, the confusion between legal tender and lawful money is one of the most exploited misunderstandings in modern finance. Legal tender is money that the law requires creditors to accept in payments of debts. Legal tender includes Federal Reserve notes, a private debt instrument authorized for use by Congress. Okay? So Congress authorized this because they have the power to regulate. Okay? So lawful money is money authorized by Congress that is backed by the full faith and credit of the United States without dependency of private corporate credit. Lawful money includes gold, silver, and United States notes as well. So in Julia versus Greenman, the court ruled that the Congress had the constitutional authority to create both coin and paper money. However, the nature of the paper money depends on whether the holder accepted it as private credit or if you demand it to be treated as lawful money. Private credit strictly coming from the private Federal Reserve. And then you got the lawful money, which means that it's United States note equivalent. So the Federal Reserve notes are a form of legal tender by statute, but they are redeemable and lawful money upon proper demand, as mandated under 12 USC 411. Now, all of this redemption happens between the banks and the government, but it happens also based upon the people acceptance as well. So, but it happens in that window with between the government itself and those banks. So you have to understand that part of why it was even written. Because a lot of you don't truly understand the history, because 1913 and when the Federal Reserve, et cetera, and all this was coming into play, you had a lot of private banks, and these private banks made their own form of currency, which was Federal Reserve notes, which was a currency of a private bank itself at the time. And they put out more Federal Reserve notes than it was United States notes. And then they also put out more Federal Reserve notes than they had backing it. You see what I'm saying? They had more Federal Reserve. They had more Federal Reserve notes out than they had actual gold. So this is why they called it the Great Depression. Because the truth is, all of these people were in debt. Every last one of them were in debt because they were holding something and they could not go and make a call upon it. Because it was like if everybody was to rush to the bank at the same time and you was to call and demand your dollars to be present, then guys, it's going to collapse. That's the reason why it closes on Thanksgiving, because it's a banking holiday. And they do bank runs on these days to make sure and ensure it's a lot of cash. The cash reserves is being put there. So you got to understand how this works. So if they don't do this, the same thing that happened with the Great Depression would definitely happen now. But so they had to say, okay, in order for us to get this to work, we have to allow the Federal Reserve note to become a national part of the national currency. Because if we don't, then we're going to have another war on our hands. And we basically just kind of like getting out of one. Like from some real shit. They ain't too far coming off of the Reconstruction and all of that, right? It ain't too far of a stretch. So I want you to understand that they're really just kind of coming off of this. And then the Reconstruction era with Abraham Lincoln and all of that, it's very important that you understand that, because it's when the emergency powers start taking into place, into effect. And the emergency powers that are taken into effect by Abraham Lincoln then is still into effect today. They never repealed it. They never, ever done it. And they keep doing it, which is why they write a lot of executive orders. But that's another thing. But anyway, so why I'm telling you this is because when you look at the Federal Reserve and how they played themselves into controlling the money of the people, and they wanted to use centralized banking, right? And once they got into that, it changed a lot, because the 12 banks are literally private, but they do have a board of governors that's picked by the state. Okay, cool. But at the same time, those banks are private, and they are dealing with the 12 banks. Now, it's a difference between the actual, you got the Federal Reserve itself, with a board of governors, et cetera, and then you got the 12 private banks that are all what you would consider to be, what do you call it? Shareholders. Okay. All right. So now they are responsible for the nation's money and in the creation of the nation's money. And all of it was backed by, again, full faith and credit of the United States to tax the people for the dollar through commerce. Right? That's what they wanted to do. Or I'm going to say tax the citizens of the United States. That was the purpose of it. All right. So now, once they did that, again, United States notes was still out there. So you had two different currencies. And the United States note started being used less because they kept printing still way more money based upon how fractional reserve banking works. They print out 10 times more money than they actually really freaking have, if that makes sense. So that means if you put $1 in the bank, then they're going to go make $10. Okay. So for every deposit that you make, it's basically times 10 that they get to make money off of and go and create new money off every single deposit. Every deposit. I'm going to say that again. Every deposit. So now when you start looking at how this money is created and what is taking place and why is Federal Reserve notes only made for advancements. But we're going to keep on reading. So watch this. It says Federal Reserve notes is to be issued at the discretion of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System for the purposes of making advances to Federal Reserve banks. So you got a Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System making those advances to those private reserve banks, like I was saying to you. And they shall be the obligations of the United States and shall be receivable by all national and member banks. So all national member banks and the Federal Reserve banks, and it's for all taxes, customs, and other public dues. They shall be redeemed in lawful money on demand at the Treasury Department of the United States. All right. In the city of Washington, District of Columbia, or any Federal Reserve Bank. Now, the whole entire point of them saying to you in the Treasury Department in the first place, because they're going to treat this as a form of a tax obligation. So if this is going to be a tax obligation, and they're going to continue to look at it from that point, because they're considering that if you get Federal Reserve notes, it's still going to be considered a form of lawful money that is going to be used as legal tender. It's lawful because the Congress authorizes. All right. That's why they say it is lawful, but it is a legal tender. Okay. Because it's still backed by the United States to make acceptance of it, as far as the obligation to make sure that everybody has to accept it is what it was for. Right. But they had to give you a way out. So the Federal Reserve notes are obligation of the United States, not purely private notes, and they must be redeemable in lawful money upon demand. The redemption can occur either at the Treasury or at the Federal Reserve. The right to redeem lawful money is not optional, though, for the government or banks once demand is properly made. So you got to ask yourself, if this happened so back and forth, and I know there's a lot of stuff out there about, hey, this ain't this or this ain't that, but the truth is, why has this particular law not been repealed? Why has it not been omitted if it's not? Because what I know is they don't let laws hang around if they serve no purpose. They either move it into another act, like they did the National Banking Emergency Powers. They moved those into the Trading with the Enemy Act, which is why a lot of you think that they're saying that the citizen of the United States is the enemy of the state. But the truth is, they're not. Okay? It is in there. It is in that act. But the whole purpose of a lot of stuff being in that act is because of the emergency powers that is spoken on, that takes place for this continue to move like it does. Right? Because if they're at war, then the banking, everything about banking still stands of what was taking place back in 1933. So we're always at war. And if there's any type of emergency, I don't care what emergency is, disasters, emergencies, national emergencies. We just had one. They called it the freaking the pandemic. Right? That was a national emergency. Guess what? That included still some banking powers that they got to do for the national emergency to continue on, and it still ain't went nowhere. They never repealed these emergencies, guys, ever. They don't admit them. They don't shut them down. They don't write something and say the emergency is ended. They just leave them open and continue on. Right? So when an individual receives payment in Federal Reserve, they have two lawful choices. You either accept it as a private credit and thereby enter into voluntary commercial use of that instrument, which creates a taxable event, subjection to income tax and other financial obligations. Or, pursuant to 12 USC 411, you can elect the redemption of the Federal Reserve note in lawful money and require that all receipts be accounted for as redeemed lawful obligations of the United States, rather than as a bank created credit. So really what happens is any obligations that you took on into their contribution that you have to be repaid. Yeah, because you made a contribution that was not yours. And I mean, that was not your obligation. The obligation belongs to the United States. So if you redeeming the lawful money and you pay the tax just for the use of the dollar in the first place, because they wanted to treat it like it's a gain or profit, and then you have to make the report of that, then reimbursement can be yours. And there are certain ways that you can settle accounts as well. We'll talk about that. So the lawful procedure to redeem FRNs is placing a restricted endorsement on your checks, deposits, W-2s, payment, anything with payment insurance money on it. You redeem that in lawful money, okay? So keeping copies, endorsed instruments, and receipts is evidence of the demand. That's what your main problem is for y'all out there. Keep everything and make sure you put redeeming lawful money, because the evidence matter. Now, you got a such thing when it comes to common law as this. The thing about common law, the thing about law itself, the thing about equity is this. The substance of it never leaves. They might put it in a different form, which means a different act, a different statute, whatever, but the absolute substance, it doesn't go anywhere. Never can. So they got this thing called a saving the suitors clause. And yes, I understand this is based upon admiralty and maritime law. But when you start talking about commerce and when you start saying that we're acting as merchants and we have vessels at sea, then yes, the saving to suitors clause does exist. So saving the suitors in all cases, the right of common law remedy where the common law is competent to give it. It protects the right to pursue common law remedies even when statutory systems exist. And that's where equity comes in at. Because remember, as I tell you guys, we have to operate off the highest contract. And the highest contract it is the Constitution itself. So you cannot be deprived of that. No liberties, none whatsoever. Okay? So it ensures that Congress cannot abolish the private right to lawful money through the establishment of commercial banking or debt-based financial system. It provides the foundation for individuals to step outside the Federal Reserve private commercial credit system by invoking lawful money rights. Thus, when demanding lawful money, the individual is exercising a preserved constitutional remedy that predates the Federal Reserve and any commercial statutes. Why most people remain in commercial status without knowing is because they always, blank endorsements is one. Voluntarily participating in the Federal Reserve System as reserve banks, commercial actors, because that's what everybody's acting as. They got everybody that's holding a dollar acting as a reserve bank. Hey, I bet you didn't know that, did you? Can you let people borrow money, lend money? Did you not accept the money? Yes, you did. And you become subject to indirect excise taxes on the private use of credit and operate in the public commercial sector where the labor and assets become collateral as well for the national debt. Henceforth, why they only need contracts to continue to create money. Okay? That's just what it is. So, when it comes to these things, pay attention. Law versus United States, the Ninth Circuit acknowledged that the holder of the Federal Reserve notes is entitled to redeem his notes, but not necessarily for precious metals like gold. Redemption into lawful money remains the lawful right. See, the thing is, they made the Federal Reserve note equivalent to any form of currency, which is why if you got a 1 ounce gold coin, the face value is $50. It's equivalent to a $50 bill. It's my point. Even though it's going to cost you $4,000 for that 1 ounce gold coin, but if you spend it in commerce, it only holds the face value, and that's all they're going to accept it for, unless you do other things. All right. So, thus failure to object and demand lawful money creates a tacit agreement to operate under commercial banking rules and obligation. The IRS acknowledged the existence of lawful money redemptions when a taxpayer demands lawful money under 12 U.S.C. 411, and the taxpayer documents the process properly, which that's one of y'all main problems. You got to document everything. Everything. The taxpayer files an IRS 1040. You do it the same way. You file it the same way you've been filing. You ain't got to change nothing. Just send everything in with it, showing that you're redeeming lawful money, and the change just happens from there. The IRS manual states that decisions made by the U.S. Supreme Court become law of the land and take precedence over decisions of lower courts. Since no Supreme Court decision has overturned the right to redeem lawful money, guys, and the IRS has no authority to disregard the Supreme Court rulings, proper redemption must be honored if properly executed and documented. So internal IRS processing and codes treat income derived through lawful money redemption as income from non-taxable sources, resulting in legal tax refund without creation of commercial tax obligation. But it also matters how you report that, because how you report it is volunteering. You volunteered to report your financial transactions or your money or whatever under this particular tax class, etc. Whether you did it under that particular entity, sometimes like I got an entity that I use out and open in the front, but it's a pass-through entity. So it does not have to do anything. It don't have to make any reports about nothing. You see what I'm saying? So, and the trust is literally what owns everything, every single solitary dollar, and the trust is under ministry. So it operates in that way as well. So there is no need for any form of taxes to be paid anywhere. Render unto what Caesar is what Caesar, unto God was God. And we don't owe Caesar a thing. It's also how you move. So move properly. All right. So the importance of the Supreme Court cases is this, guys. Julia versus Greenman said the federal paper currency may be lawful money if proper demand is made. Norman of Baltimore, Ohio, Congress can regulate money but cannot eliminate lawful money redemption rights without constitutional amendment. They can't do it. Vias Bank versus Finno, Congress has the power to regulate currency circulation, but also they got a lot of redemption. Brusher versus Union Pacific confirmed there are only direct and indirect taxes. Participation in private credit triggers indirect tax and not ownership of lawful money. In these cases, form an unbroken legal foundation for redemption of lawful money and the right to operate outside commercial credit taxation. And you got that power because, again, why would the people remove themselves from dealing with gold and something that is also of intrinsic value that does not inflate to going into using something? And the whole thing is this. It was supposed to be the way credit and debt work is this. As soon as credit is created, debt is created. As soon as debt is created, credit is created. They cannot work without each other. So if the credit ceases to exist, so does the debt. If the debt ceases to exist, so does the credit. So you have to understand that. And you can literally use the other. You know how you got to take venom and use the venom for the cure? Okay, it's the same freaking thing. It don't change. All right? And you're going to learn that. So why does this remedy exist? Okay? The lawful money redemption remedy exists because two undeniable historical and legal realities is the Federal Reserve System fundamentally changed the nature of American currency from lawful asset-backed money into elastic, privately issued credit instrument known as FRNs, Federal Reserve Notes, and the constitutional protections of common law rights, particularly the Saving Suitor Clause, the congressional limitations under Article 1, and require that a remedy must be available to the people to opt out for participating in the private banking system credit-based money. Thus, the lawful money redemption remedy is not optional, theoretical, or merely a favor by Congress. It is required by law to exist because the Constitution forbids involuntary servitude under the 13th Amendment, right? So, and it forbids that the states from making anything but gold and silver coin a tender of payment for Article 1 section. So the shift from lawful money to elastic currency, elastic credit, the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. The Federal Reserve Act passed by Congress on December 23rd, 1913, marked the most profound shift in American financial history. It created the Federal Reserve System, a private banking cartel authorized to issue a new form of paper currency. And these notes, initially redeemable in gold or lawful money upon demand, as codified in Section 16 of the Federal Reserve Act, which is now 12 USC 411. So it says an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal Reserve Banks to furnish an elastic currency to afford means of rediscounting commercial paper to establish a more effective supervision of banking in the United States and for other purposes. Right? So elastic currency means that it's a currency supply would expand and contract based upon commercial lending and not hard assets reserves. So now remember, expand and contract based on commercial lending. Well, that's why they always trying to get y'all something. They want you to use their credit, get a credit card, get this. Here's the credit system. And as long as you keep going in and doing commercial lending, it expands. They're going to keep on putting those reserves out. So now money is only created based upon the backing of contracts and deposits that are being made within the system. Rediscounting commercial paper is loans and debts will be recycled through banks to multiply the money supply. Now ask yourself, this is the reason why I have my book that goes with this called Equitable Conversion as well. And I just want to know one question. Seriously. Tell me why. Because you can tender by performance as an equitable conversion. A lot of you think that you can tender by money. You can literally tender by performance. All right. But why would you make something? And we're talking about equity. Why would you create something? And it says loans and debts will be recycled. So it's recycled through banks to multiply the money supply. That literally means you got equity in something. And that means that what we have here is unjust enrichment. And the people should be given full equity for every dollar that they manage and create off of their deposits, off of their loans. And also the bank's debts. Because the bank is literally borrowing your money. Basically. It's what they doing. You see what I'm saying? So the Federal Reserve notes were not designed to be fixed lawful money. They were intended to be elastic, debt-based instruments circulating as currency and commercial credit, not sovereign money. And you know why? Because again, all you gotta do is think about it. You can't go take a $50 bill and go buy a 1 ounce gold coin. You're gonna need $4,000. So why would we get into something like that? You know, why would we lose in that perfection? But the difference is you didn't have to go mine. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to go mine for money. You really got unlimited credit. Everybody's looking to how can I get in my account with all the money? You got it already. It's in your hand. All you got to do is obey the freaking rules, which none of you have read. So let's be honest about it. There's a lot of rules. And once you obey the freaking rules and do what they say, do according to how to use and pursue credit, etc., you're going to start winning. You're going to start winning easily because you're going to start understanding equity. So the creation of elastic currency created an unavoidable constitutional conflict. The Supreme Court had already ruled that Congress may regulate currency, but, well, they can't extinguish the right of lawful money. Article 1, Section 10 forbade the states. Congress threw limitations on the states from allowing anything but gold and silver as tender debt, as tender for debt payment, and the 13th Amendment forbids involuntary servitude, which would include forcing citizens to labor under a system where the only means of payment is unredeemable debt instruments. Thus, Congress had to preserve a remedy for the people who did not want to engage in the elastic credit system. And the remedy is codified in Section 16 of the Federal Reserve Act, which is literally 12 U.S.C. 411. Right? So, the emergency bank holiday of 1933 and the new definition of lawful money by 1933, due to widespread bank failures and public panic, the Federal Reserve banks had issued far more notes than they had gold to redeem. This was the bullshit, and they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose. In response, it declared a national bank holiday under Emergency Banking Relief Act. And, well, the Americans were forbidding from demanding redemption of the Federal Reserve notes in gold. That stopped them. So if they can't ask for it in gold, then you got to give us freaking credit. You got to really think about this. If you can't redeem it in gold, then you have to redeem it in credits, in currency, in something. It's got to be given to us in something that's going to be equivalent and equal value, because that's equity. If not, we don't got a deal. So gold ownership by private citizens was effectively criminalized under Executive Order 6102. Now, notice that an emergency act went into play and then an executive order popped out right then and there. I told you, it's something about those emergencies and executive orders that goes hand in hand. You see what I'm saying? A bank credit says the code does not apply to them, and they're right. It does not apply to them. It applies to the Treasury and the Federal Reserve banks. They just have to accept the money. Yeah. It's not even for them. When you write redeeming lawful money, it ain't got shit to do with the bank that you deposited it with. It has everything to do with where it's going, which is amongst the Federal Reserve. And once it gets there, they're going to see that it was redeemed in lawful money. Simple. Once it gets to the Treasury, they're going to know the same thing. But it has nothing to do with the operating banks. They just have to accept it. All right. So now, however, the right to demand lawful money was preserved, guys. Lawful money was redefined to mean United States currency, not based on fractional banking credit. So if they said, hey, we're going to say that once you redeem a lawful money, the Federal Reserve note is now considered just the same as a United States note. Because, well, the obligation is the United States. So you got to think about it. When the Treasury was printing the United States notes, whose obligation was it? The United States. So that's the whole point of them saying, hey, it is the obligation of the United States. So they're saying that, hey, once you declare or say it's redeeming lawful money, then that is what it is. Okay? It's now an obligation of the United States. The Federal Reserve note is because they're declaring it to be the same as, well, the same way they treated the United States Treasury notes. No difference. So now, you get the Congress, they get to regulate the monetary system in times of national emergency, but essential nature of lawful money remains, and right existing at law cannot be destroyed without amendment to the Constitution. So during emergency, now I want y'all to know it's emergencies going on right now, and we'll look at those too. So now, the legal status for the Federal Reserve notes is that, well, the Federal Reserve notes is private commercial debt instruments. All right. And there are sovereign government issued money. Okay. Lawful money is sovereign government issued money. They declared Federal Reserve notes lawful money. So now it's sovereign government issued money. It's no longer, it can be looked at as elastic, fractional, and expandable supply, which is the Federal Reserve note, but the lawful money is a fixed, okay, inelastic supply. So now you got subject to excise income taxes when used, and it's not subject to commercial taxes if it's actually redeemed properly as lawful money. And it's issued by private Federal Reserve banks. And then you got the lawful money, which is issued or guaranteed by U.S. Treasury. Again, so when you look at what I'm saying, the Federal Reserve notes, again, well, it's been accepted. It's been accepted. And what gives us the idea of that's been accepted? Well, we can go to, if I'm not mistaken, 31 USC. That's the wrong one. I'm gonna find it for you. It's in the tolerance of testing coins. Let's see. Everything the Federal Reserve knows. Let me find the right one. 5103. Legal tender. 31 USC 5103. Legal tender. Legal tender is now United States coins and currency. So all United States coins is legal tender. All United States currency is legal tender, including Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes of Federal Reserve banks and national banks are legal tender for all debts, public charges, taxes, and dues. Foreign gold or silver coins are not legal tender for debts. So let's just clarify that. Okay. It says the words all, regardless of when coined or issued, are omitted as unnecessary because the restatement, the words debt, is substituted for debts, public and private, to eliminate unnecessary words. The words public charges, taxes, duties, dues are omitted as included in the debts. So there you go. Now you know they part of the legal tender group. Yes, we actually got a class coming up December the 13th about lawful money. If you want to be a part of that. Okay, so now United States says versus Rickman, the Federal Reserve notes are obligations of the United States and are redeemable lawful money upon proper demand. Thus, failure to demand lawful money results in presumed voluntary participation in the Federal Reserve credit system. Okay, do know that. Now, when you get credit, there is a cost of credit. And that cost of credit, et cetera, is interest and all of that good stuff. But what happens when you do it in lawful money? See, now you're not dealing with the private side of things. And it's a privilege, for one, and it's a right for the other. Okay? A privilege for one, and it's a right for the other. So, in the United States, most individuals unknowingly enter into commercial financial relationships without invoking their lawful remedies. Okay, their mere acceptance and use of the FRNs without objecting binds individuals into the private credit system of the Federal Reserve, a system entirely separate from the constitutional original framework for money. So, this silent participation creates commercial liability for taxes, commercial liability for debts and interest, and commercial subjection to banking statutes. And participation in private contracts of adhesion where one's labor and assets act as surety for debts. The lawful money redemption remedy under 12 U.S.C. 411 is the method provided by Congress to opt out of the commercial system voluntarily, lawfully. Failure to exercise the remedy results in implied consent to commercial jurisdiction and its associated liabilities. Okay? So, it said, he who remains silent when he ought to speak is considered as consenting. See, all rights are reserved to the people. Okay? All rights are reserved to the people. So that means that if there's something that you're supposed to do, like it's your right to report to the IRS for something for a refund that they owe you. But if you don't report it, then they're going to assume that you owe them because, well, somebody else made a report. So it needs to equal up in the same matter. But my point is all books have to be cleared. And it's your choice as well to do so. And if you don't, then, well, you consent, guys. When you sign the back of a check without lawful money disclaimers such as redeem the lawful money without recourse, non-negotiable, non-assumption of liability, then by default, they accept the check as negotiable instrument backed by commercial credit. And they waive the right to demand non-fractionalized, non-commercial money. So every time that you do a promissory note, you allowing them to do fractional reserve banking on that. So, yeah. If it's a $10,000 promissory note, they're going to create $100,000 off of it through fractional reserve banking. That's exactly what they're going to do. So the endorsement operates under the principle of tax procuration. When someone manages your affairs without your objection, it is presumed they act lawfully on your behalf. So, how are the taxes created through commercial participation? Well, the personal income tax is an indirect excise tax applied to the use of private commercial instruments, not to the inherent right to earn a living. Well, see, here's the thing, guys. You keep letting them push you to say your income as if you're making income or making a gain or profit as if you are some type of private corporation or something. But you have to truly understand this first and foremost, that number one, you have the right to forage for food. You can go get food at any time. You as a man, first and foremost, is what God created you, whether male or female. You have rights and interests to this land before that is precedence before any constitution or anything that was created. It's the first thing you need to know. And once you understand that part, it's going to start giving you power because it's like, how can they take something of that from you? So if the only way for you to get some form of land or house or home or whatever that is still to your right, then money would kind of be considered one of the same thing as food at this particular point. And in order for you to go get food at this particular point, you need money. So money is a form of necessity for the people in this case. And money is something that the people should have a right to and to go earn a living, not be taxed upon it because they look at it as a income, okay? A form of gain of profit, but it's not. Never is, never has. You see what I'm saying? And if that's the case, start understanding that part. You get check stubs, write it on your check stubs. But the thing is when you start looking from that point, like you getting beat. You getting beat every time because you have no idea of the games that's being played with you. And these merchants been doing this for a while. They're called money changers in the Bible. And when you read about the money changers and the things that they have done and how they have went and, well, they've sunk in countries by putting and flooding them through debts. And you even had these people that's been funding these countries for a long time, taking control, placing them into debt. And then the people, they're able to go to the king. And they wanted to go to the king and say, hey, we wanted to create a new system to where there are no sovereigns in this system. Everyone is well, it's kind of like you on international waters. And up on the international waters, there is literally no sovereignty at all, for real. I mean, yeah, here. There's kind of rules by contract. So without a contract present, and that means treaties, etc., then there's no one has a right to make a claim or anything of that nature, so to say. So, yeah, they got you out here like that. And if you are here like that, then now you operate everything and do within the name, then they're going to make a presumption about you. And these presumptions is always, again, remember, you're self-employed. No matter what you do, you're working. All right? You're self-employed and you're always working is what they're thinking. They think even when you go home that your home is being used for commercial purposes. It's not considered for personal reasons and household. See, they don't even register y'all stuff down as any of that because y'all don't say nothing. All of your cars is registered for hire for personal reasons to be, hire. You got driver's license to hire, to be for hire. Yeah, that's what it's for. You're saying that you're self-employed and you are for hire until you say something different. But they got the art of presumption pretty down pat with that. But you need to learn the difference. So an excise tax may lawfully be imposed on privileges, corporate benefits, or activities that involve the use of government-created mechanisms. And then income taxes arising from the exercise of government-granted privileges are classified as indirect taxes. Because Federal Reserve notes are created through privileges of fractional reserve lending, and because their use represents participation in a private banking system, every commercial transaction using FRNs create a taxable event under the Internal Revenue Code. And the taxable event arises from the use of government licensed commercial benefit, not from labor or property itself. Thus, without lawful money demand, a simple paycheck deposit becomes a commercial transaction. Earnings are classified as income from taxable source, and that source is, well, the use of FRNs. The IRS lawfully asserts excise tax liability on such transactions. So when an individual demands that payments and deposits be redeemed in lawful money, this removes the funds from commercial credit system by refusing to endorse private credit. Retain ownership of funds without consenting to fractional reserve banking practices, and avoid creating the taxable event associated with the use of private credit instruments. Remain in common law jurisdiction, protected by Suitors Clause as well, where constitutional rights and remedies apply. So Make sure that you properly endorse your checks. Keep copies of them. Any account records as evidence that you can find when filing taxes. Make sure that you have a sample affidavit or notice stating that all income was received as and redeemed as lawful money and is therefore non-taxable under constitutional law and statutory authority. But it's the way you write it. It can't be just that plain. You got to really know how to say what you want to say. And I suggest that you have and operate through trust, doing a lot of stuff because it's going to help you. All right. So the individual legally elects to operate outside of the Federal Reserve elastic credit system, and they retain private rights protected under the Constitution. So legally, the IRS is required to honor the redemption as confirmed by the Internal Guidance Manual, but it's nothing they can do. Again, I'm going to ask y'all, have 12 USC 411 ever been repealed or omitted? Just a question. Has it been repealed? I don't think so. I don't think so. Can you tell me? So, what is the immediate effects at the bank? When you deposit a check or cash using lawful money endorsement, you still see credited to your account in numerical form. You get $1,000 check. It says $1,000 check, redeeming the lawful money still shows up as $1,000 deposit. So you still withdraw physical Federal Reserve note. All circulating paper notes today are Federal Reserve notes. Redemption happens by contractual demand, not by swapping physical notes. The legal classification of your fund changes by demand of lawful money. The funds you received are treated as redeemed obligations of the United States. You did not accept private commercial credit voluntarily. Therefore, no taxable commercial event occurs under excise tax laws. And that's all it is, guys. It's just a conversion on the ledger. You're not going to get something else new because you got to go back and look at 31 USC 5118. They said, we ain't giving you no gold or silver. All United States currency is equivalent, and they made Federal Reserve notes equivalent. So stop looking for something. Just know it happens on the ledger. So, upon lawful money demand, your funds, though held in commercial systems, are now legally considered redeemed and non-commercial. The accounting of your funds remain private property, not public collateral for fractional reserve lending. And although banks still may attempt to use fractional lending practice unless a special deposit arrangement is made, which is what you do, the IRS, if auditing or questioning income, will recognize when shown the evidence that your funds are from non-taxable sources. So you properly endorse checks, you maintain documentations, and you file a lawful money notice with your with your 1040. It's full documentation. Okay? Full documentation. So what lawful money redemption does not stop. Okay, it does not turn FRNs into gold or silver. They got rid of that. It does not make a physical cash look different. It does not do that. It does not stop banks from attempting commercial practices. Okay, it does not. However, your legal demand separates your participation at contractual level. Now, again, you got to understand, it's not at the places of the bank where it actually happens at, guys. It actually happens at the window at the Federal Reserve. They know to declare. They know what to see. And there's an internal system of how things operate on the books. But what you got to also see is, well, it does not excuse you from your legal responsibilities. So you still got to comply with tax filing requirements, maintain accurate records, and act with integrity. You don't stop doing what you're supposed to do. So what are signs that it's working? Well, the IRS processes your 1040 return, issues your refund without classifying your income as taxable from commercial activity, as was done with one of the latest reports with one of my students as well. They done it, and from there, 2024, they received everything back for their lawful money return. And they say if questions, you can supply evidence of your lawful money election, and the inquiry ends without assessment or penalty. Now, I've seen that a lot of times when they've said, "Hey, can you send us more evidence?" And what happens is the people don't never attach the evidence that they say, "Hey, I've been doing this I'm redeeming lawful money for 2022, 2021." Now, it was worth a try, but at the end of the day, they want to see the evidence. Your financial affairs remain peaceful, private, and unencumbered by unexpected tax liens or penalties, and you have full constitutional defense if ever challenged. So it does not seek public recognition at every turn, God. It preserves your rights quietly unless or until they are challenged. It lawfully serves your participation from commercial credit obligation while allowing you to operate within society peacefully and effectively. So, as the Supreme Court has repeatedly emphasized, rights do not need to be aggressively proclaimed. They must be properly exercised and properly documented. That's it. So, demanding lawful money will result in different bills. That's false. It's just a correction on the ledger. Okay. It's not physically exchanging one type of currency for another at a teller window. Okay. This suspended the gold redemption in 1933. So you're not getting that. Lawful money is a loophole to avoid paying taxes. It's not. It's not a loophole. It's a lawful constitutional election to operate outside a private commercial system that creates taxable events, which is like why you can move stuff to the trust. Stuff like that. Operate different, learn different, do better. Taxes are lawful and constitutional when applied properly. Excise taxes on privileges, benefits, or commercial activity. Lawful money redemption does not evade taxes. It removes taxable event by lawful refusal and participation in private commercial benefits. So you still got that right that comes first. Remember, you got the right to earn a living and not be taxed for it, for having to do that. You see what I'm saying? The Bible even speaks that your labor was going to come. It's going to be hard work for men, for sure. So that's part of in the religious aspect that gets operated on, right? So should you be told to pay a tax because you're going out there to perform a religious duty? Answer that question, guys. You're going to perform a religious duty. Think about that. Mm-hmm. Basically, you're gonna have to work hard. Yeah. So think about that for a second. Really something, right? But I'm just saying, hey, if you look at it in a different way, it comes to you in a different light. So you have to go to the U.S. Treasury building to redeem lawful money. That's false. Okay. The Federal Reserve System by design authorized any Federal Reserve Bank or national member bank to process lawful money redemption. Lawful correction. Demanding lawful money can be done by endorsement at any financial institution where the deposits are made or where financial instruments are processed. They shall be redeemed the lawful money on demand at the Treasury Department or at any Federal Reserve Bank. That's where it happens at. Don't mean you got to go there. There's no requirement to a physical travel to Washington, D.C. to exercise this right. The commercial deposit of a check or proper endorsement satisfies the lawful demand. So, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 12 USC for. Is it for? It might be 412. Application for notes. Let's see. Any Federal Reserve Bank may make application to the local Federal Reserve agent for the amount of Federal Reserve notes herein before provided for as it may require. Such application shall be accompanied with a tender to the local Federal Reserve agent of collateral in the amount equal to the sum of Federal Reserve note thus applied for an issue pursuant to such application. The collateral security thus offered shall be notes, drafts, bills of exchange, or acceptance acquired under Section 92, 342, 348, 349, 352, 361, 372, 373. Yeah. So you would have to read all of they really they wanted to make this complicated. They wanted to make this so complicated so y'all would never figure this out. Don't let them figure this out ever in your life. Yeah, they did not want y'all to know what this was. I think if it ain't that, then it's going to be 413 then. Let me find it. Show y'all something. I think it's 12 USC 342. It says any Federal Reserve Bank may receive from any of its member banks or other depository institutions and from the United States deposits of current funds and lawful money. Deposits of current funds and lawful money. National bank notes, Federal Reserve notes, or checks and drafts payable upon presentation or other items, and also for collection, maturing notes and bills, or solely for purposes of exchange or collection may receive from the Federal Reserve Bank deposits of current funds and lawful money. Current funds and lawful money. Notice they said current funds and lawful money, national bank notes. Then they even said Federal Reserve notes. What are they trying to hide? What are they trying to tell you guys? What are they trying to say? All right. Now, let's keep it pushing since y'all know that part now. So, there's no gold or silver. If the bank staff doesn't understand lawful money, it's not valid. That's also false. Private employees' understanding is irrelevant to the legal validity of your demand. Lawful money redemption is based on federal statutory law. Bank staffs are not required to approve or understand it. They are only a processing agents. Your endorsement, your paperwork, your records are what create and preserve the lawful election as well. So if challenged, always politely insist that you are exercising a federal statutory right and continue documenting your transactions accordingly. That's it. So, also, lawful money exempts you from all debts and obligation. It only changes the legal nature of your financial transaction. It does not grant immunity from legitimate obligations incurred through lawful contracts. So, lawful money removes commercial presumptions tied to Federal Reserve credit issue. It does not erase legally agreed private contracts, court order obligations, or other lawful duties. Unless we're under emergencies and you do something late, right? So it says, thus lawful money protects against unjust commercial presumptions, not from every responsibility of life as well. So it's not a theory, it's not a loophole, it's not a gimmick, guys. It's something that actually happens. So, how do you deal with someone that challenges? What if the bank refuses to accept lawful money? A teller or bank manager says you cannot write anything extra on the back of a check, or we don't know what this means and we cannot process your deposit. You can say that you can just show it, prove it to them. Hey, I'm just exercising what the law say. And if they say refuse or ask for a manager compliance, if the higher authority still refuses, ask them to provide written refusal on official bank letterhead and have it signed by bank representative. And it's simple. If they stop doing that, right, based upon you wrote redeeming lawful money, 12 USC 411, and then they do something to your account, bro, you can go after these people for that because they can't tell you to not do that at all. It's not a legitimate reason to shut down your account in any shape, form, or fashion. They can literally be sued for that. So if the higher authority still refuses, ask them to provide it in written, right. Save the documentation as evidence, open an account at a different financial institution, and we're not going to argue, guys. We can just go to court because I want them to prove. And once we get there, the only thing you're going to, and then you got to know how to literally bring the argument. You guys are going to start using stuff like, well, I tried to do this and the bank didn't want to accept it. Instead of just saying like, can the bank show proof of where I cannot write? Can the bank show proof of any statutory law where you cannot write redeeming lawful money on a check? Yeah, show me that. Show me anywhere in our policies where it said I couldn't do that. In our contract, it don't say it. So since it does not say that, we got a lawsuit. But you guys gotta know how to go after what you're actually saying. It's not your duty to try to prove 12 USC 411, none whatsoever. Your duty is just to say, hey, I signed or I transferred the instrument and just wrote redeem the lawful money pursuant to 12 USC 411 for the window of the Federal Reserve Bank and the U.S. Treasury for that purpose only. That's it. Nothing else. Can they show me anywhere in statutory law or anywhere in in this contract to where I can't do that? Hey, appreciate that. Appreciate the heart. Y'all think about that. See, and a lot of y'all try to attack the situation, and y'all be so bent out of shape trying to prove that lawful money 12 USC exists. I'm not finna argue with them about that shit, and they ain't repealed it. I'm not arguing about that. You need to come up with an answer for why you just discriminated against cashing my check up in here today. And the damn show ain't because I put lawful money on it. That's for my record keeping. For taxational purposes only, not for you. And then when you do shut it down, again, we got a lawsuit because you can't show me it's a breach of contract. Show me where in our contract it said I could not write redeem the lawful money pursuant to 12 USC, et cetera, and sign off in a certain type of way. What tells me I can't do that? And when they can't show it to you, it's breach of contract, especially when they shut you down. Simple. You guys just got to think. That's all it takes. So, again, you want it in writing. We get it in writing. You was exercising a statutory right. Close your account for exercising a right constitutes prima facie evidence of discrimination and bad faith banking practices. We're going to hit them. quick. We can go to the Office of the Comptroller of Currency if we want to, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And it doesn't matter what anybody say. If anybody try to bring up any sovereign citizen crap with you, you just got to know how to deflect that. Because all you got to do is ask them, like, that's defamation of character. See, and here's another thing. A lot of y'all think, oh, yeah, I got freedom of speech. No, you got freedom of speech with the governor, with the government. You can say a lot of stuff to the government and not be punished for it. But you just can't say shit to people and about people and think that there's not consequences. That's slander. That's defamation. So watch your mouth. That's why you got to stop letting them call you this stuff and saying this stuff to you. Just because you try to exercise statutory right, they can't even tell you what reason you used it for. So they can't call it a this or a sovereign citizen thing, or they don't know why or what reason you put it for. And to say anything or to insinuate anything else, well, we're going to look at it like that's discrimination and defamation. And I've read our contract. I don't see anything in our contract that says we can't do this. And if you closing out this account right now, this is a breach of contract. And we go into court. I'm going to win because I understand how to bring the actual claim. I'm not going to make the claim about lawful money. I'm going to make the claim about you shutting down my account without a just cause. Yeah, well, based upon such and such, you're using sovereign citizen. No, I haven't used no sovereign citizen movement with you, none whatsoever. Only thing I asked you to do, and even then, show me where in your policies I can't do what you saying. Show it in the contract. If you can't show that, it's a breach, discrimination here, and we're looking at about, I don't know, maybe 100,000. We're gonna do the whole FDIC insurance. That's 250,000. Let me get that. Y'all gonna need it for how much it's gonna cost. Yeah. See, that's a lot of y'all problems. Y'all be out here. Yeah, it's reading. It's great, but it's also strategy. Being strategic about how you maneuver and do these specific things. All right. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the IRS, which they ain't, but if they was to try to say how you, because it's all about how y'all declare it too. What your words matter and what you say. But anyway, tell them to provide a lawful authority and statutory basis consistent with 12 U.S.C. 411 and the Supreme Court precedent that classifies a lawful money redemption as frivolous or invalid election. Failure to produce such authority will constitute tacit admission that your election was lawful and proper. Tell them to show it. They can't. Remind them of all the Supreme Court decisions. That's all you got to do. They already talked about this stuff, so use it. A lot of y'all just use it in the wrong way. Yes, Congress has the right to do so. It's in the Constitution. They can coin money. They can do that. All right, cool, great. Because whatever the federal government didn't have the powers to do, and they didn't give the power to the state to do, it was reserved to the people. So again, there you go. Special deposit agreements is great. A special deposit, a deposit made for safekeeping only, not for use by the bank. It creates bailment, not a debtor-creditor relationship. So it'll be damn near best for you guys to actually have cash and then go to a bank for a special bank deposit and let them hold your cash for you there, instead of putting it in these interest-bearing accounts with the lowest freaking interest that you could possibly think of. Or you could have took my hidden ledger class and you would literally know how to go get a non-interest-bearing account and declare your interest on it by setting it up with your trust, because once they accept that trust, oh man, they fully agreed to, and they start operating as trustees. So now they agree to the declaration of trust, and it's also governed according to that. And if in your declaration of trust you're saying something about, your equity into the fractional reserve banking here, and that if that you're going to declare a certain percentage off of it, if they're going to be using the fractional reserve banking. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it. You know, you can draft special deposit agreements as well. Say these things are not to be long. Make sure that you always build your ledger. Another thing is using private trust to hold lawful money. Structure it through trust as well. That's another way you can do it. Learn how to do conditional acceptance as well. Just make sure you got value. There's value added tax secrets on vehicles. What that means when it comes to the vehicle market, we'll only teach you about that. Lawful money implications for vehicles as well. It's a lot out here, guys, that you can use to your advantage. All right. To know how to work these things. So we just need to start pushing to the other side of the ledger. That's what I'm going to be showing you guys come December the 13th. You still can get in class. It's actually a lot that's going to be going with this class. So, hope you guys do get to be a part of it. If not, it's okay. You can hear about it, right? You can hear about it. But as promised, I said I was going to let you guys listen to some testimonies from the last class that we did. So I'm going to do that with y'all first. I'll let y'all listen to the newest one first, coming from one of our good brethrens, long participant of our class. I think he's been around for almost 3 seasons now, so pretty good dude.
Eric and the rest of the family, how you guys doing?
Pretty good.
All right, I got multiple testimonials here.
Okay.
So I got a couple. So basically, I had some medical debt or alleged debt, right? And I sent in, and this was like 8 months ago. 8 months ago, I sent in 2 money orders, one for each debt. One was about 500, one was around 800. And this, I did this with no follow up. I mean, I sent them in. What happened is I sent in both money orders to it's a company called Arstat. They're the ones that do the collections for the medical company Northwell. So I sent those in. I sent them. I sent the original money orders to the payment address, and then I copied all the paperwork I sent them and sent them to the VP of operations for that company. And I left it alone for 8 months. And what I did is uh, uh, both money orders were $5 a piece, and I wrote, paid to the order U.S. Treasury Department and 12 ESC 411 redeemed for lawful money. So I didn't do anything special except what you taught, just how when you did the lawful money courses. And then I got 2 letters in the mail the other day, which said zero balance. And it said nothing about what I sent in, but it just said zero balance, and I was like, oh man, I knew it, but it's good to see the document, right, where it says zero balance, because we already know what happened. And again, that's without any follow up. I didn't send any further emails because I kind of just forgot about it because I was just busy doing other things. But man, how powerful that is, man. And I appreciate that. So that's the first one. And then
So, as you can see, 2 medical debts that he had sent off a $5 money order, 2 of them, to both of them to redeem the lawful money. And he did it under 50 USC 4305B2, which is another thing that I'll speak on. Probably tomorrow though. But that also as well. So that's one. And then this one is not a recording, but they did send me the uh it's crazy. I don't know who just sent this, but oh well. All right, so let me show you guys this. 'Cause you know what I say. I almost got thrown off, y'all. Y'all hold on, my bad. Had to read an email, but here we go. I'm finna let y'all listen to the last one that was sent to me. This was sent last week, so it is on my Facebook page. You can see I shared that. Let me just put they name in instead of looking for it, I guess. All right, it says, "Hi, Eric and Nikki. Hope you are both doing well. I wanted to share some exciting news regarding the Lawful Money class I took earlier in the year in preparation for my first Lawful Money tax return submission. Half through 2024, I began requesting lawful money on all bank deposits and inflows. I did have withholdings for the first half, and in my form 1040, I requested lawful money for the full year, which generated a full refund. Well, that refund materialized in the bank account August of this year, and I am very well grateful for a thorough class that walked through the form submission and called out the evidence I need to provide to support my claim. So they did that, and they end up getting theirs for sure. Um, they had zero taxable income is what was placed on their thing, as was also showed total that your total income is 0 0, and they end up getting fully refunded back as well. So thought that was pretty dope. But again, the key word was what they, for those of y'all that don't understand, is they had everything. Okay. They had kept up with their documentation. And when they did that, the evidence is showing. So I know, again, that plays a major part in doing this. For those of you that don't know that. So make sure that you do your part so we don't got to make this hard. Because it's going to matter now. If you don't do your part, it's going to show. All right, so I got one more, actually a few more I can go through, but man, I don't want to go back that far. Testimony start getting. Then y'all gonna be like, well, what did test class at? I'll be like, yeah. I'm not teaching that test class with y'all no more. Oh shoot. What was the name of that one, man? It was killing the assumptions and something else. I forgot the other one. God, see how y'all made me forget financial strategies. I think that's what it was. I'll find it. Mm-mm-mm. Y'all got any questions though? What's up? Why I look for this? Because I done lost it again. I found it the other day and I be damn, I ain't lost it again. I might as well just download it. I'm finna download it this time when I find it. I take my time to stop being in a rush too. I find it. I did. Just as I said I would.
It's muted up.
And let me get y'all here. Now, this guy, he did it with about four. He did it in a bankruptcy case. So let me say that. He did it in a bankruptcy case. And it was dope. Another guy used it on a court case. And the judge just literally dismissed that particular case and gave him another case. But I want y'all to hear this one. Yeah, I think we good right here.
Commerce like you just did, or oh yeah, man. The condolences, brother.
Oh, all is well, man. Thank you, man.
All
Here we
right.
go.
Brother Terry Smith, what's going on, my good brother?
Peace and blessings, everybody. I got quite a few testimonies since we've been on work breakup and work sessions.
Let's talk about it.
We have two bankruptcy cases. That one was dismissed with lawful money, one was dismissed with a bill of exchange, and we have a eviction from lawful money and three speeding tickets and a bill of exchange dismissed.
So that's two bankruptcy cases. One was used with a bill of exchange. One was done according to lawful money. Then he had three tickets that was done. I'm gonna say I guess a few of them was done. Two of them was done. Well, one was done with a bill of exchange, and I'm saying I guess he's saying the other two was done. So and he
I
also
want to iterate something.
let me make sure.
Peace and blessings, everybody. I got quite a few testimonies since we've been on work breakup and work sessions.
Let's talk about it.
We have two bankruptcy cases. That one was dismissed with lawful money, one was dismissed with a bill of exchange, and we have a eviction from lawful money and three
Okay, so that's an eviction. They use lawful money in one.
speeding tickets and a bill of exchange dismissed.
Three
But I
speeding
want to iterate
tickets.
something. If you didn't,
So that's just, and that's Brother Terry. If y'all been in my class, hey, that's somebody who gonna always be on point when it comes to exercising this stuff and getting it done one way or another. So he got many testimonies through our work sessions. Just gave some the other day, but it's always good for you guys to know that this is possible for you. You can make it happen. Yes, I've done it myself. It's also happened for more people in more ways than one. Like someone literally hit me up and was saying that they had a bad check, but they put lawful money, etc. on these things, and it did not charge them a late fee or fees or anything like that. And that has happened with a lot of people account. Any fees, anything like that that they normally was charging for services has stopped being charged for services as well due to lawful money. Also, when we had a woman, I'm gonna see if I can find hers, but she did the lawful money situation and used her birth certificate and a few other things that we had told her to do, but she ended up getting her whole entire her mortgage gone. So she ended up winning that. Um, it's a lot though. Like I say, I could go on about all the different people, but to get you guys in there though, man, don't forget December the 13th, guys, is going to be here in Huntsville, Alabama. You want to learn more and know more about lawful money. Again, I taught this in 2024. I'm doing it again in 2025 to close out the year. But just trust me, it's 10 times more information that has been put into it since then. Especially through you know, things that I've had questions from others from the last class, their experiences and situations that we have done to help correct or do, or how to deal with, just a little pushback here and there. And just also show how I showed you guys as well. Yes, it could be done through direct deposits because it's already being done, right? Um, So yeah, it'll be December 13th, 2025. Time is 10 a.m. Central Time. Location is Huntsville Country Club as well. We're doing a live stream too as well. So if you can't make it in person, you can do it live. The donation is 200. Most of you guys missed the early bird. We had an early bird special for 150. We had that going on for about 2 months. So if you didn't make it to that, that's fine. But anyway, it's 200, and you're also going to be receiving a few free ebooks that's going to go along with this. But as of right now, for you guys that are making your purchase right now, you're going to be getting this ebook, and this is going to be called. This ebook is the. Is it the equitable conversion? No, it's the tender by performance. Okay. Tender by performance. Now, tender by performance is going to show you literally how to take your contracts that your loans that you are in, and you're going to learn how to do an equitable conversion because it is equity. Now, this is not something that you could use or win in a statutory court, but if you understand equity, you can use it in an equitable court, such as declaratory judgment courts, injunctions, and things like that, and it's very powerful to use and do. It's kind of like something I did with the paid in full process, but a little bit different. But it's definitely I'm gonna add it to this class because it's powerful, and I think this class deserves to have it. So that's also gonna go along with it according as well, and so just make sure y'all there, man. Get in class with us. Don't forget. We also got our 2026 Toyota Camry giveaway that's going to be in February 21st, 2026. That is going to be done here in Huntsville as well. Um, Also, if you want a chance to do that, just hit me up and I'll get you in, get you locked in so you can get your opportunity at a new car. Also, if you take three of your chances in that, you're going to literally two chances of that will get you a free ebook. It's actually three ebooks that's in play with this as right now, so you can get those creditor sled ebooks and stuff like that. It's very important that you guys utilize this. Also, you got a few more minutes on the website, ingodwetrustacademy.com. You can go there right now. It's 50% on some things and 25% on others. So do go on there and make the best of it. Other than that, guys, be here Monday. Tomorrow, we have free class. So be here at 11 a.m. Central Time, and you will be a part of the work sessions. If you want to know how to join that as well, do inbox me, and we'll let you know how to get in touch with us from there as well. So, but appreciate you guys as always. Dope session tonight, and we are right back on track. And yeah, y'all have a good one. Peace. I'm out of here.